morning, guys. How are y'all doing? So it's Tuesday morning. Anyway, big shout out to all the vets, man. I was looking at a video this morning. Oh, Blackfork Lawn and Snow, Jessie Blackfork. Big shout out to Jessie, man. What's up? And I'm seeing, you know, he's got that cemetery, and you know, he's having a hard time. You know, having a hard time with guys coming to the cemetery. So I thought I would do a video on if I were taking on that cemetery, as if it were me taking it on, and some of the things that I may do to try to keep the cemetery and or you know, and keep help, you know, coming to the cemetery, because I feel like you're gonna have a, you know, Jessie's gonna have a hard time with, you know, the weed eating guys, you know. Of course, everybody knows how to run a weed eater, y'all. Come on, everybody knows. So that's a joke, man. It's a joke, y'all. Most people don't know how to run a weed eater and make it where the string lasts a long time. They don't wear the damn thing out. They're not, you know, they're not cutting with a string that long. You know, it goes on and on and on, man. I've been doing this a long time too, so I've seen a lot of guys that think they know how to weed eat, and they, some of them can weed eat granny's yard, but when you're out here doing this shit commercially for money, and you gotta, longevity is a lot, it means a lot. You gotta be efficient, you know, efficient. So one of the things that I would do, you know, now that of course I'm a Monday morning quarterback, you know, so, you know, but if I had, I'm gonna act as if I had a 30-acre site, cemetery site, and some of the things that I would do to keep help. And I know there are gonna be guys that say, well, man, it don't make no sense, blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, I'm just showing you, I'm just saying that some of the things that I would try, you know, because obviously you're gonna have to have help on a job like that. The number one thing I would do is, well, I'd have to have a guy in the truck with me, and I would just have to take a hit somewhat and let him do some of the yards with me, some of the residential yards with me. And I don't know, you know, I know that in year 1 or 2, my business wasn't ready to take on no 30-acre site like that. I just couldn't do it. It didn't even really matter how much they were paying me. I just didn't have the equipment. I didn't have the know-how to put and the help to put guys in position to win, you know. So that's, you know, that's a footnote here, you know. But at year 13, this is the way I would start doing things if I were Jessie. And again, I don't know all there is to know about it. I have never seen the property, never, you know, don't even, I just know he says it's 30 acres. So, and it's gonna, and I know help, and I know guys that work in this line of work as far as, you know, the helpers out here. And it's gonna be, I don't want to say impossible, but damn near impossible to find somebody or a group of guys to come out there and weed eat for, you know, 8 or 9, 10 hours a day, you know, consistently, you know. And I would have to approach that job a little bit different, you know, knowing what I know now versus what I knew in year 2 or 3. I would probably have a guy with me, and first of all, I'd break me and David into teams. David would be able to go out and do, you know, his properties, residential, whatever, and he'd have a helper with him, a guy that's regular every day. And then Jessie do the same thing. You got to have a guy with him. You know, him and David being on a job together, unless it's a great big cut, well, that's limiting. You know, you got 2 guys that can run mowers on the same job, you know, and if a guy that can run a mower is weed eating anywhere, and there is mowing to be done, then he needs to have a guy in the truck with him so the other guy can weed eat and the mower can just continuously run. The mowers need to be running all the time. David or Jessie don't need to be, this is my take, David or Jessie shouldn't be weed eating on the regular anywhere, you know, if they got that much work. So, you know, Jessie hire a guy in the truck with him, pay him whatever, you know, whatever the rate is up there, I don't even know. And David do the same thing. And then they go out separate in the morning time and go do the residentials. Jessie go do the residentials, David go do the residentials, and then they meet over there at the cemetery. And I don't want to say meet over at the cemetery every day, but it looks like, yeah, almost every day. And then for, you know, from lunchtime on, you know, 3 or 4 hours, you know, cut and weed eat the cemetery. You know, I'd have David start at one end, Jessie start at the other end, and with their guy, and their guy start weed eating, and David's guy starts weed eating, and then Jessie starts cutting, David starts cutting, and then they kind of meet in the middle, you know, as the week goes on. Gonna have to find creative ways to get guys to show up for work, you know, to do a job like the cemetery. Just not gonna, I don't think you're gonna find guys that are gonna do that consistently, and it don't matter what you're paying them. And then another thing too about having a guy in the truck with you, you kind of learn this guy, and you can watch him on the residentials and some of the other properties other than the cemetery, how he runs a weed eater, how he moves around, you know, and that kind of thing, and kind of get from that, you know, if he's even capable of you know, weed eating the cemetery. I mean, when a guy gets in a truck and he's looking at 8 hours of weed eating at the cemetery, he might come out there one day, maybe 2 days, hell, he might even make it 3 days. But he's not gonna, I don't think you're gonna be able to find anybody that's gonna be out there every single day and their whole sole purpose is to weed eat. You know, you might, out down here where I live at, you ain't gonna find nobody like that, you know. Even, and it doesn't matter what I'm paying them, it don't matter. So that's kind of some of the things that I would do. I'm definitely not going to be paying daily on anything. I learned that. It took me a long time to learn that, you know. Now I might give them $10, $20, you know, just to feed them and stuff for that day. But you know, when I'm holding their money, they're more likely to come to work. That's just, you know, call it what you want to, but that's just the reality of it. If I got their money, then they're more likely to come to work. So that's another, you know, another thing. I would definitely have to have a helper in the truck with me every day, even if I'm not making top dollar on all the residential. You'll make up for it in the long run on you know, on the cemetery as far as time goes and all of that. So that's one thing I would do. And also I would offer them some kind of incentive. You know, I would make sure that these guys knew that they need to get this section, we need to get this section done today and that section done tomorrow, or you know, whatever. You know, maybe even offer them more money if they can, you know, if they make it through the week, give them a bonus on Fridays, you know, something like that. I mean, it's going to take some unique, it's going to take some unique challenges to get somebody to do the weed eating over there. You're going to always have issues, I think. You know, I don't know for sure, but in my area, you're gonna always have some issues with that kind of thing. So, you know, that's just a couple of things that I think about as I watch the videos. I did not know that there was another company over there either doing the you know, doing the landscaping over there. And I don't really know. I mean, I'd have to see it, you know. because I'm sure it's vast. You know, 30 acres is a lot, and I've cut a lot of 30-acre sites, but it's all cutting, mowing, cutting. There ain't a, you know, a whole lot of weed eating and stuff like that. You know, I can't think of a job that is more detailed oriented than a damn cemetery, y'all. You know, I'd have to have about 4 weed eaters. Yeah. But I know I read some of the comments, and I just don't think that you're going to find anybody that's going to wake up and say, yeah, I want to go weed eat a cemetery all day. You coming from Granny's couch to that cemetery, it's gonna break them off, man. They ain't gonna want to. They might make it one day, you know. So you got all of that too, you know. And you know, sometimes, you know, I've learned that sometimes with me, having to go through different guys costs me more money than if I just pay a guy a little bit more and maybe not working quite as hard. You know, and I'm not saying there are not guys out there that'll run the weed eater all day. I'm sure there are, but I guarantee you they're few and far between that can actually, the stamina of running a weed eater all day, because it's finna get hot, y'all. And then the actual, you know, ability to run a weed eater without, you know, using all the string up, without and moving. You know, you got to be moving if you're on a cemetery with a weed eater. You can't, like I said, it ain't got to be perfect. So, you know, there's that too. So I just kind of wanted to, that's just one way I would do that, or think about doing it like that. I don't know if that's even feasible. But I know that him and David need to split up, since they're the ones running the mowers, and they need to have their own individual guy weed eat, you know, each piece of the damn cemetery, you know. And then and you'd have to, what I would do too, man, and it's just me, because I'm a thinker, man. What I would do too is I would and I'm sure Jessie probably has looked at it, I would look at an aerial view of the property, right? You know, say this is a rectangular or whatever it is, you know. I would look at Google Earth image of it, and I would say, okay, especially after I've been on the property a couple times, and say, okay, this area right here holds water. I know that. This area right here don't. We can get the mowers on this area today. We won't be able to get them on this area tomorrow, and all of that kind of thing, because, you know, every property has a drainage. So those are things that I would be thinking about too. And I would be looking at a square of it, you know, from the aerial view, and I would mark, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for me, and then David, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for him. You know, hell, you and David might be on the property for 3 or 4 hours a day, and not even see each other. You know, so it's just one little thing, you know, that you might be able to do. But I definitely think you're gonna have to get creative, other than just paying on money. You're gonna have to lighten the load a little bit too, man. I think, you know. Of course, I've never been there. I don't know all the things there is to know about it, about the cemetery. But just blindly going in, I would have to be doing something like that. And then once you get the guys that's working in the truck with you, you know, once you see him on the residentials and everything, you'll kind of say, damn, man, okay, and he can do this, but he can't do that. You know, phone is blowing up, man. Yeah. And another thing too, I heard Jessie say in there that he would want to just do all cemetery. Well, That's good as long as you can do it, you know. But if you put all your eggs in the cemetery basket, and then for whatever reason, you know, you can't do it, somebody else comes in there wanting to do it cheaper next year, are they going to 1090 you? These are all questions I'm going to ask myself, you know, because if I lose that, if all I'm doing is a cemetery and I lose that account, then I ain't got nothing. It's something to think about. Got to always be thinking about, you know, I always think about those kind of things. You know, the mom and pop yards may cost you a little more to do, you know, but if you lose one, well, you know, you're not going to kill yourself. It ain't going to kill you. If you put all your eggs in a cemetery and you lose it, then you're out of business. And it takes years to build up the residential clientele, you know, the volume that you need to make a good living. So, you know, I would definitely not, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the basket of the cemetery. I would have to be able to, I mean, if I did anything, and I'm not sure what the cemetery pays. I'm sure it pays pretty good, but again, I just wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket, man. I'm just saying, because that's just risky, you know. Equipment go down, something happens, you might be able to still do the mom and pop yards, but you know, if you slip up on that cemetery and somebody else comes in there cheaper, and somebody's always going to be trying to do it cheaper than you, then even if they can't do it cheaper than you, but they submit a bid that's cheaper than yours, well, and they may even fail, but you still gonna not have the job anymore, or you're gonna be on the outskirts, and if they fail, they may call you back, they may not, who knows, you know. I just wouldn't do that, man. Not if I know that I'm gonna be in the lawn care business long term. I want a vast array of accounts, and for me personally, and I know for me personally, I'll just say it, I would drop the cemetery before I dropped all my homeowner accounts. But I think that you can do the homeowner accounts and the cemetery if you manage your time right, and I'm able to get a guy in the truck with you. David, get a guy in the truck with him, like I said, and do it like that. And if you have to go over there every now and then and spend the whole freaking day, well, you do. But I would only do that when I didn't have anything else to do, you know. Because you get a guy coming off Granny's couch and get him on that cemetery with a weed eater, you know, ain't gonna work, dude. And he ain't, I mean, yeah, he might work that day, but you're gonna spend more time running around trying to find help than anything. And as far as, you know, trying out a guy on a weed eater, well, me personally, I don't have time to do all of that. I would try them out as I'm making money. Maybe not on the cemetery, but they'd be trying out as we're earning, as the business is earning on the residentials. And so then just prepping them and getting them ready, stamina wise, technique wise, and all that for the cemetery, you know. And I'd be able to see how they do on the, you know, the $60, $50, $60, $70 residential lawns. You know, everybody's going to say they know how to run a weed eater, dude. Everybody. But, you know, 80% don't know how. Yeah, they can crank it up and they can do this and they can do that, but they don't really know how to really run one efficiently. So that's just my 2 cents worth, you know. I did not know there was another company out there on that cemetery either. That's another thing too, that makes it where I would not drop all the residentials, because the other cemetery guy, he might be, well, he might be on the fence either way. He might be saying, damn, I need to drop this crap. Or then again, he might be thinking, damn, I just need to buy me one more weed eater and another lawnmower, and I might be able to take over this whole thing. So you got competition in your front yard right now as we speak. You know, it's another thing to think about. I would not drop any residential yards if I just wouldn't, man. Can't say that enough, man, because it can really affect your bottom line if you end up losing the cemetery. And plus, the cemetery is a job that ain't got to be perfect, you know, and a job like the cemetery are few and far between. If you still got that cemetery, like I don't have many accounts, commercial accounts, I don't have many of them from, you know, 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had more commercial accounts than I got now. And there's a multitude of ways to lose them. Multitude of ways, you know. And of course, I don't know the situation. So, you know, but if you got another landscaper up on that site and he's already doing part of the cemetery, well, you already got competition right in your face. And though that's good if you can beat the competition, but you always got to have a contingency plan if you can't, or if the competition decides to step their game up and somehow they are able to do the whole property and that puts you out the door. I'd be more inclined to be more confident about the cemetery if there was not another landscaper on site. You know, I know I'm starting to ramble a little bit, but I'm thinking about all the ramifications, trying to put a detailed video together on what I would do if I had 30-acre cemetery site. And I've had some cemeteries over the years, none of them like that, you know, I'm a 3-acre, 5-acre site, you know, and I always found that the weed eating and everything was just, the detail was so involved that I couldn't keep help. And when I couldn't keep help, that affected my bottom line. Or when I was going through, you know, and I go through help now, and I'll make it easy on these guys, y'all. I couldn't imagine telling these guys, you know, that, oh yeah, we got 15 acres we're going to weed eat today. Come on, man. You know, so I don't know, man. I'm gonna try to edit the video and try to get all the good points I made, because I'm kind of rambling right now. But I would definitely, I think you and David could probably do it, given each of you guys had a helper and you didn't just rag the help out. And I would, again, and I think I've talked to Jessie personally, I would probably start backing off some of the mulch jobs and all that stuff, because there's no time for all of that, man, now, you know. And if you want to train somebody on a weed eater, well, you can, but, you know, or if you want to test somebody on a weed eater, you can. I mean, but do you realize, for me, how much trouble that would be? You know, the guy's got to come, got to come to work. I got to take the time to talk to him, get him to work, and then only to find out that he can't do it, or whatever. Then what? You know, I'm going to put a guy in the truck that with me, and I'm going to groom him into being what I need him to be. You know, now I understand, and I'd be testing them out on the residentials. That would be my test. The business would be earning while I'm testing. You know, yeah. I definitely wouldn't be paying them every day either. No way. No way. I say, look, you make it all 5 days this week, I'll give you a $50 bonus or something like that. You know, I don't know, you know, the numbers and all. Something like that, you know. But you can't just rag them out, man. You can't have them out there weed eating 12 hours a day. There's just, you know, like you said in your video, Jessie, everybody ain't built for this, dude. Well, that's about all I got, man. Big shout out to Jessie Blackfork for having the cojones. Dude, you got cojones to take on that property, man. I don't know if it's kahunas or what, man, but I mean, you got quite a challenge there, and I hope nothing for the best, you know, for you and your business, man. Way to hustle, dude. I'm loving it, man. This is Ray. Peace out.